Hello everyone, welcome back to Angela's Craft Room. I have another children's card for you. As I said in my last video, I'm going to be making a few children's cards. This particular, or the images on this card come from a Lawn Fawn stamp set called Year 4. And it's really cute. It's got a hippo and a little bird, a balloon, party hat, and a little music stamp. So it's a really inexpensive, cute stamp set to get. So if you're in Australia and you're interested in any of the Lawn Fawn, I can put the link, or I can let you know. I can put the link to your comments, letting you know where you can get them in Australia. It's not from me. So this is how I do my shaker cards. So I'll just show you a few techniques. So I'm just going to grab in a piece of grid paper. Now I've got a little piece of basic grey, and I've already embossed that with the Woodlands embossing folder. Now how I work out that side, I just took my rectangle framelit and I just simply cut. First off, I embossed a piece of basic grey, and then I just cut out with my largest rectangle framelit that I had on hand. Okay, and to get the height on the card, like you can see, that's got a bit of crafting foam in there, and it does give quite a bit of height to the card and quite a bit of dimension. So to do that, I just cut out a piece of crafting foam. And just to give you some idea, that is 3 millimeters. Now, the crafting foam that you get in the cheap shops in Australia, they're only 1 millimeter, and they're just not thick enough. So I get this off eBay, and you just search crafting foam, craft foam, just wherever you're living in the world. Just search it and you'll be able to find it. So that's 3 millimeters. I mean, I think it goes up to about 10 millimeters, which is outrageous, but 3 millimeters is quite enough. So to attach that to the cardstock, you will need to use a tacky glue. So that's the one I use. Okay, so I did that prior, so it's all nice and dry. So then the other thing that you need to do is have a border. So I like to have a border around my shaker centerpiece, like that. So to make the border, all you do is just take whatever color of cardstock you're using. I'm using the rectangle framelits that I had on hand, and I just put the two biggest sizes, run that through the big shot, and that will give you your frame. Okay, so if you wanted a thicker frame, you would take the next size down again, and that would give you a lot bigger frame when you put it through your big shot. Okay, but for this particular card, I just used the two top ones that I had. And then what you need to do, I pre-coloured the birds and balloons to save a little bit of time with the stamping blends. I used Daffodil Delight, and actually I had some blendabilities left, alcohol markers from Stampin' Up, and I used the Melon Mambo on the balloons, and on the little hippo I used ivory and bronze. Okay, so what we need to do first is just place that because you've got to work out where you want to put your birds. So it has to be within the frame. So I usually just put the frame on top like that. Must be a bit of static there. And then you've got to remember you're going to put the balloon as well. But you can always cut a bit of the string off of the balloon because you're going to glue it underneath his wing anyway. So say we have one there, one down here. I sort of aim for the branches, and I think I'll have that balloon. Might bring him over there a little bit. See if you have him over there. We could cut off the balloon a bit. Just got to make sure it's in that frame. I'm just trying to fit 3 in. So then if I had him there and his balloon up there. So I'm going to glue those in place with the glue those in place with the Tombow liquid glue with the frame on top. So the frame's not glued there at the moment, it's just as a guide so I can see that my little chicks or my little birds are going to be inside the frame. Now I'm just going to get the scissors and snip a little bit of that string off because it's just a little bit too long, and just going to put a little bit of glue on there. Grab a cotton bud because I just want to put a little bit of glue down the string. And then I'm just going to tuck that underneath his wing and just press him back down again. So, you know, just cut off a little bit of the string if you have to. So I try and glue them onto the branches of the Woodlands embossed area, like because I used the Woodlands embossing folder, I try and glue them onto the branches. But if I go too high, you just sort of got to think where the balloon's going to be. We'll just cut the end off of there. So I'm not sure if I said yeah, I did tell you the colours I use, yeah, that's right. So that balloon's just going to fit in. And then I'm going to put that one right down low on the branches. So he's right there. So I've only just put him down, so I can sort of lift his wing. Just flick it up a bit. Just got a little bit of glue there, which I'm not really worried about. It does dry clear. Okay. So then I know that it's gonna fit inside my frame. There's a little bit of glue coming around there. Now where I do my shaker cards a bit different is most people would have this front piece sitting up so all the sequins move around, and I find when you do that your sequins all get stuck up in one area, which I just don't like. So the way I do it is I will put the I'm going to put the piece of acetate, which is a window sheet from Stamping Up, comes in 12 inch by 12 inch, and I just cut it to the size I want. So this is just tear and tape, and I tend to do the sides first because it's a little bit thick for the other sides, but what I do is I just roll it over a little bit if I have to. So that's stuck. The thing is, it's just going to be sticking to my fingers. Now, just going to get the tweezers and pull that piece up. and it's just over the edge. You can see at the top there, it's just over the edge, the tear and tape. So all I do is just push it back over. Then pull that off. Now it's just a little bit under there, so I'm just going to pull that tear and tape back. Now, this is the hard part, just getting it off your fingers. Right, so it's just down there. Then I'm going to put this piece of window sheet over the top, like so. And I may just have to get my really sharp scissors and just trim. It depends how fussy you are. Just a little bit of window sheet off the edges there. Okay. So that's pretty easy up to now. And then that's going to be your piece to go down there. And then we're going to stick that down like that. So how I just grab my sprinkles, or whatever you want to use, these are sequins, and I just put them where I want them. And actually what I should have done first was put a piece of tear and tape all the way round, and then you'll see why it's important to stick your images onto that centerpiece, which I've done first. So normally most people, how they do shaker cards, would put foam down at the moment, whereas I'm putting just the tear and tape. So I'm just going to pull these off first, and then we'll put the sequins on. So now I just want to get them down the bottom, and I only want them along the bottom. And the birds are quite high, so I'm not really worried. Don't want any. And these sequins are from Stamping Up. They're the metallic ones. Not sure if they're still available. So I just want them right down. Then I'm going to just stick this straight down on there. Just press it down. The tear and tape's very strong, so once it goes down, and then we've got the little shaker card. I just like the ideal how the sequins don't go all over the images, that it sits at the bottom there. If I was to shake it, it would go to the top. Then what I need to do, so that's the shaker, that's the thing that takes the most time. Let's get rid of my rubbish. Now I've got some Pacific Point, and that is 11 inches by 4 1/8, and then scored at 5 1/2, and then I've just put a piece of basic grey in there. Then I've taken another piece of basic grey, and that measures 5 1/4 by 3 7/8, and we're going to just glue that straight onto our card with the Tombow glue. That's our first mat. So then opening it the right way. So I'm just going to put that straight down, as straight as possible. And that is my first mat, which is in basic grey. Now there's a bit of glue coming out. And you can use your adhesive eraser once the glue is dry. And it will remove the glue too. So then I'm going to glue my piece of my shaker frame that we made. Now remember, it's on foam, so I need to use my tacky glue to adhere it. I'm just going to spread that a bit. Then I'm just going to, you just have to eyeball it a bit and just center it. And why I've put so much tacky glue on is that it will let me move it if I have to. Like that. And then I've already pre-coloured the hippo, as I said before. So I'm just going to use some dimensionals on him. I like to put 4 on because he's not a small image. So I hope you'll give this a go because it's lots of fun, and even if you don't want to use the foam, the crafting foam, you can just put your shaker part straight onto your card. So I'm just going to push that down. I find the dimensionals stick on the acetate or window sheet a lot better using the stamping dimensionals. I can just see there's a little bit of piece of, just didn't cut it out. There we go. Let's get that little piece off. And last but not least, our sentiment. So what I did here was I just stamped the sentiment on a piece of Very Vanilla, and then using my, and I've showed you how I did this before, with the bone folder, I've just twirled one end up and then this end up like that, and then underneath here I've gone down really. So this one I've gone down and this one I've gone up. Just adds a bit more dimension to your card. So I'm going to put a piece of tear and tape across there because there's quite a lot of dimension on this card and I don't want this to get, I don't want it coming off. So you just pull that off like that. Could even put it at the top. Yeah, I might put it at the top. So I'm just going to use the bone folder and go in under there so I can press the blue down, because that's the part that's got the tear and tape on. And there we go. That's the card finished. So that's another children's card done. So the original one I did, this one was, so you can see this, they still will move around depending on how many you put in. I didn't put as many sequins in this one. But this one was done in Pumpkin Pie, Early Espresso and Daffodil Delight. And this one was done in Pacific Point, Basic Grey and Melon Mambo. So there's some colour combinations for you as well. So I hope you like that video, and I hope you'll give it a go with all those different techniques we've used today. And remember, just use whatever stamps that you've got on hand. And until next time, happy crafting!